Welcome to the JAMODI podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is JAMODI, just a matter of doing it.
Coaches, the JAMODI podcast is powered by Scoreboard Media. Scoreboard Media works with high schools across the country to run professional sponsorship programs on their LED scoreboards. Whether you already have LED and you just want to supercharge the revenue, or you want to use sponsorship revenue to buy new LED video scoreboards, Scoreboard Media can help. They work with sponsors and advertisers locally, regionally, and nationally who want to connect with your school's community. Email info@scoreboardmedia.com to start the conversation and see what's possible.
Rule changes. There's when you kind of watch the college game and the pro game, you hear overseas and you see like what some of these different leagues are doing. It just makes you wonder what it could be like at our level of high school basketball. Or what's a rule change or several that you'd like to see?
Well, number one, I think a shot clock. I just think that while I don't understand why we wouldn't want to mimic what college women are playing, even the men. And this past season, we went and played in a tournament in San Diego. And a big reason was they played the shot clock, and it was a 30-second shot clock. What I learned out there is that the same person running the clock, they have a clock just like you and I do. They run the shot clock. And we played 4 games out there. And in 4 games, we probably had 2 violations. And those are usually at the start of the game when I was trying to run a little bit too much offense, be patient. And also, there were very few times where referees had to go over there, and hey, what did you see on this? It just ran so much smoother. I love it as a defensive coach because there was one game we were down 6 points with maybe 2 minutes left. And I was able to tell my kids, hey, if you get a stop, you're going to get opportunities. And that's what's really cool about a shot clock is that you have opportunities to get back into games rather than you and I both know if you're playing a good team and you've got a lead, you could get into a delay game and it's going to pretty much.
Yeah, that 1-2-2 half court press that you have is just going to look silly. Yeah.
Yes. Whereas if there's a shot clock, you have opportunity.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, they're worried about, well, it's going to make the offense bad. To me, if you're a good defensive coach or take a lot of pride, how awesome is it you tell your kids, play great defense for 30 seconds?
Yeah.
That's what I like about it too. So it's just, that's the one area. I think we're getting close to that. I wish coaches, and especially UIL coaches, would have the opportunity to coach some games in that. Me going to San Diego with our team and coaching 4 games in that, I loved it. We had now the TABC has the showcase in the summer. I wish they had gyms where they provided that option where coaches could really get in there and say, this is a lot of fun to coach with a shot clock because it was. Our kids enjoyed it, and it was just a cool experience to get to do that. So having the firsthand knowledge of what a shot clock looks like, that's something that's a rule change I think that I would really like to see change pretty soon.
Yeah, what a great point, too, of instead of late game right now, all the pressure's on the defense to have to junk it up and make something happen. Let's put the pressure on the offense that they have to actually continue to execute and get high percentage shots and perform. I do think that would be, for you and I, there wouldn't be a lot of changes in the first 3 quarters, most of the fourth, but those last 2 minutes where typically delay games would come in, that's where you'll see, I think, a lot more, it'll be more fun. More fun.
It will. And the shot clocks there were not big, extravagant ones, and knowing that one person was able to run both,
that's huge.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Everybody here, you say, well, we're a small school. We can't find enough workers, and I hear that excuse, but I also know that every football game has 2 or 3 clock workers too. So I think that if you could find people to work that, but, I just, playing in that environment, they didn't on the girls' side, you didn't have the 10-second call. And as long as you were dribbling, you didn't have a 5-second call. So those are rules that we had to adjust to out there. But I like it. It was 30 seconds. You get an offensive rebound, it resets to 30. It was about as simple as you can get.
Yeah. And I like the idea, too, like you said, of mimicking the college game. And for some levels, I know you're for sure at that. And the 5A, 6A, and 4A levels in Texas, we are preparing players for that next level. Because I've heard that maybe from smaller school coaches of, we don't have players that are going to be playing in college. Why do they need to be prepared for that? Well, there's always the development answer. Like, why overseas are they playing with a 24-second shot clock all the way down to younger ages? It's because of the development that it creates. So if we care about development, then we should want it, not just because we're preparing people to play, even though that makes sense, especially for your level.
Yes. And you can go back in my career, and there's been a lot of games that I've been fortunate to win by holding the ball. But me coming from that point, I would just love to see it. I just think it would enhance a lot and make, I think it'd make coach better, have more sets that they've got to run at the end of shot clock. And so that's something I would really, really like to see in the future.
What about advancing the ball on a timeout?
I had that in my notes too. I like that idea. I love that. I think that's just a cool little, it's kind of crazy how different the college women and men's one plays half, one plays quarter. Women can advance. I think it's kind of crazy how they have all that. But I love watching NBA.
It's like those two groups don't talk at all.
It really makes zero sense how that is, and so, but yes, I think advancing the ball would be another one. That's so easy. I mean, you're just getting an opportunity to call a timeout and advance it. I mean, I don't know why that becomes such a hard thing. And plus, how many more creative sideline inbound plays are you going to get with the option right there? So I like.
Yeah, Coach Garnett played in a select tournament outside of Texas this last weekend, and they had that advancing rule in it. And they were down 6 with 17 seconds left, and they were able to stretch that 17-second possession as if it was like 40 seconds left, because of the ability to not have to go, those 48 feet or whatever feet. Like that, I think that would be a really cool change to see.
I don't know if it'll ever happen, but after watching NCAA games, especially March Madness, and they drag out the last, I like the Elam ending too. I think that's something that would be, I know that's a little further out, but
yeah,
I like the fact that, sometimes those games last, they just start fouling and 2 minutes left in the game lasts 20, and that is something too that, in the future, I think it'd be, hey, let's just set that point and let's get that game over with, because a lot of bad things happen in the last 2 minutes. Injuries, fouls, a lot of things happen that are unnecessary.
And 2 years ago, last district game, and we were still playing for seeding, but we were down and kind of like scrambling at the end, and our best player gets just an arm swung out, hits him in the head, and he has a concussion before our first playoff game going into Midland Christian. And so to go there without him, and it was, Coach, it's just what you said, it was a moment of time that really wasn't necessary. I mean, we're trying to win, fighting for that, but so I get that. Where do you see the game moving, in the next 5 to 10 years?
I think the athleticism of especially girl basketball players, guys too, I think that's really trending towards a really high level athletic game. But I also think that everything happens in cycles. Right now it's a pretty guard-oriented game, but all it's going to take is the next great post player, like Zach Edey in the men's basketball.
That's what I was going to say. 3 out of 4 Final Four teams were playing through the post pretty much.
Yes, and so I think that I think everything cycles. You can go back and look at, in the 70s and 80s, NBA was real fast-paced, and they were scoring a lot. And then it kind of went away from that, and then it came back. And so, I think basketball cycles, it's always going to come to that. I think on the girls' level, athleticism, the skill, these females that can hit pull-up jumpers from anywhere, that can, play primarily guards. We went to a more, transition, 4 out, 1 in, a dribble drive attack system this past year. Post game was my strength. We went more to post and it's a lot of those kind of sets, and we're able to win more of that. So it's just, I think good coaches take what kind of team you have. I think there's a lot of coaches that say, hey, here's what we do, whether we have the kids, and those coaches probably aren't successful year in and year out.
Coach, you're talking to one of those coaches right now. No, I definitely struggle, though, a little bit more with like what I love to do, what's my favorite style, but then what does that actually mesh and work with the guys we have, and can you adjust some concepts to make it work? But no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. We try to look to what you might play in the playoffs. What style. I generate my schedule based on, what I could see in district in the playoffs. And so if we need to go play real athletic teams that might press, we'll do that. If we are more fundamental, we try to gear that towards what we could see in the future.
Man, that's a great point. I wonder how many coaches think like that far down the road. One Coach Reed said he's not thinking about November, he's thinking about March. Like, I don't know, like that's maybe a level that I haven't gotten to yet, but that's a great point.
Yeah, it's just helped us over the past years. And I always want to go into a big game, district playoffs, tell my kids, hey, you played an opponent better than them.
Man, yes.
And that may be more athletic. And hopefully if you beat them or play them close, then that gives your kids confidence that they can handle that situation and environment.
Coach Ryburn at Midland Christian made that point. He said, we don't want to play our best team in playoffs. Like, we want to have played somebody better than them outside of that. I thought that was a great point by him. And you just made his boot. One coach been doing it for 40 plus years, thought the game was too physical right now, especially with guard play and hands and just what defense can do or are allowed to do. And he sees a more fluid game coming ahead with tighter rules. What are your thoughts on that?
I could see that. I feel like it is real physical at the guard, and I think some areas, I think every game's just called differently. There was times where the guards, they didn't call much out there, but then they'd let the post get killed inside, and so, I do think that really it comes down to how you referee. This year, when we switched from the bonus to 5, you shot after every 5, reset every quarter. Early in the year, the games took longer. Then referees started adjusting, and they knew. I love that rule.
Yeah.
Because when your first quarter, you might get the bonus. The second one, you might not. And so to me, the flow of the game was a lot better there. But I just think that, I would love to see a more fluid game. I think that's what they do in Europe, and that really helps. That's why those kids, the players come over here so skilled.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the JAMODI podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.